Well, joining me now on Arise 360 from our Lagos studio, Cobhams Asukwo and Stanley Enow. It's great to have you both join me on the show today. Well done, by the way. I'm going to start by asking you both individually.
It's great to be here, thanks.
Absolutely. A huge fan, by the way, of both of your art. I think it's beautiful. I think what is even more beautiful is when we channel our creativity to pertinent issues that affect us. You know, while some might feel like, well, how does it concern me? I definitely think that these are issues that in some way link back to us as humans. So that begs the question about what inspired you both to really participate in this project, and how does it really align, you know, with your personal beliefs and values or past initiatives, to say the least?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. So I'm a UNICEF champion, as is Stanley Enow and a bunch of us. And I think for us, it's about using music as a tool for social change. Obviously, this is our gift, this is our trade, but I think what makes it make meaning even more is the fact that it can actually impact socially. It's great to have people dance, but it's also great to contribute to, you know, a conversation around the welfare of children. And you know, it's sad that, you know, Africa still remains a place where there are so many unvaccinated kids, which is pretty much what Zero Dose is all about. And this is just an opportunity for us to say, you know what, look, let's do the right thing by our children. Let's, you know, give them a future that is safe. Let's create stability around them being able to grow and progress and do things and not be inhibited by, you know, whether it be polio or whether it be, you know, any preventable disease, preventable obviously by means of vaccination. And so when you find a cause that is that meaningful, you know, you want to jump in on it. So I'm glad that, you know, I'm working on it with, you know, great artists from across different parts of West Africa. It's an exciting project. I mean, who would be in our position, I think, and not want to be part of something like this?
Right, Stanley, you would agree with this, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, it's very, very amazing. I want to thank you so much for having, you know, us today. You know, really, really wonderful working with, you know, the legendary Cobhams Asukwo, and, you know, it's not him alone. It's, you know, channeling musical energy with, you know, people like YJ, Omawumi, you know, Queen Madi, the legendary Mondoway from Chad, Master Sumi, and without, you know, forgetting Papa from Guinea Conakry, Sekou Bambino.
Yeah.
So it's a host of us, you know, fighting for the future, and you know the future is now. Africa is now, and Africa cannot do without its kids, you know. So as proud UNICEF champions, not to say ambassadors, you know, it's very important that Africa comes together, you know, via music, not only to make people dance, but to also make sure that the people feel empowered by the normal Zero Dose message. Because, you know, with UNICEF, we are at the verge of launching this massive fight against polio message, and it's very important for us to note that, you know, it's time, you know, for social change. As artists, you know, I always say it's very good to be a star, but you have to use your star power to empower.
I like that. I mean, that's the rapper coming right out of you, you know, Stanley. It just rolled off your lips. You can't help it. I love it. And, you know, if there's one thing I'll say about creativity, you know, to you both, it's the fact that if there's any industry where no man is an island reigns supreme, it's in the world of, you know, music or creativity in general. We really cannot do it on our own. Just like with this single, what makes it so beautiful and powerful is the fact that it's like you rightly said, it's different artists coming together and shining, because no two creatives are ever the same. So when we do things together, it sends a bigger message, with music being a powerful tool. Now, in all of this, there will always be the skeptics. We're coming off the back, we're in the post-COVID era. And if there's one thing that era taught us, that is the COVID-19 era, it was the fact that a lot of people are still skeptical about vaccinations. So how do you think this song about immunization, you know, will really resonate with different audiences, particularly those who may be skeptical about this?
So one of the things with especially the preventable diseases that we're talking about with children is we've had time and we've had time to test and we've seen results. Obviously, the vaccines for things like polio and measles and, some of the other, diseases that generally affect children that we're talking about, we've had test cases and we have results.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges we had with COVID, for instance, was the turnaround time between, when we as humanity were hit with the disease and, with which the vaccine itself was made available. Obviously, there's a lot of research and there's a lot of results. I don't think that, we would say you don't want to do tetanus shots, for instance, or you don't want to do polio shots, or you don't want to do measles shots or rubella shots or whatever those are, any one of those, because we haven't had enough time to research or do R&D or whatever to confirm, the efficacy or the authenticity of the vaccine. So I think the conversation, it's now a question of using the music and using the people to reach, the far-flung areas or, to create far reach, essentially. But you're right, that there are still all kinds of myths that we want to dispel. And that's why we don't only have people singing in English, we have people singing in French. We have Ali Nuhu, who's also a UNICEF champion, singing in Hausa, because obviously North is, an area that is greatly affected by this phenomenon. And, the people there, I think when you find friendly faces who are, quote unquote, your pop influencers saying, look, it is healthy and it is good to do this, then it instills some sense of sincerity and I think belief in the process. So I think that's why we're out here doing it, because, we know for one, I don't know that any one of you, I don't know that, maybe you don't have children, maybe you do, I'm not sure, but, people who have kids, if you have the chance in this space, I'm sure your kids have probably gotten their shots, but there are far-flung areas, remote areas where this is not the case, and so we want to help dispel the myth and all of that around, such conversations. So you have friendly faces telling the truth, and just sharing a message of sincerity and an action call to go out there and, have kids getting vaccinated. So this is definitely the tool for the job. Basically, everything that you've described, this is the tool for the job, because we have the power of influence, and this is one of the most positive ways we can use it.
I couldn't agree with you more. The power of influence is important. Now, Stanley, obviously, taking this to Cameroon now, as a Cameroonian artist, Cobhams just spoke about, this, and I really see how this, and I can relate to what he said, from the Nigerian community perspective. But how would you say, or how would you see the song also influencing communities both in Nigeria and Cameroon, especially in those areas where, the vaccination rates are still very, very low?
Je pense que c'est la même chose en fait, c'est-à-dire que même au Cameroun, il y a des personnes qui sont super sceptiques et tout ça, mais la force, c'est quand les artistes ils viennent ensemble, to raise our voices. It's just to make sure that people do understand, because if you have your pop faces and the faces that you trust because they have a minimum or a maximum level of integrity, besides their artistic prowess, definitely you can trust them, because I think it's super painful that we have kids today suffering from the polio disease. Like in this era, it's really unacceptable and it's really unbearable, because we want to we keep saying the future is now, Africa is now, but if we cannot cater to the young ones, who are going to make up the power of the future generation, then it means that we are failing, So I'm super, super happy being part of this project, because, using your voice for social change is super great. So those in the north, those in other regions that are a little bit kind of skeptical, I believe that with the vibe and the melody and just the sincerity of our hearts and the push from the UNICEF staff and technical team, they would have to understand that being vaccinated against polio, it's not for the benefit of UNICEF, it's for the benefit of humanity, and humanity lies within our kids. So I do plea and pledge that this message should penetrate the hearts, the depths of the hearts of our people, so that we can definitely have a polio-free generation.
I couldn't agree with you more, and thank you so much for that. Now, let's get into the creative process. You both have produced absolutely amazing songs that have been globally recognized, and you understand the importance in crafting a beautiful song. Now, in terms of collaboration, you know, working together, everyone else on the body of work, did you all collaborate on the lyrics to ensure the message of immunization was clear, but still, you know, artistically engaging? How did you just balance the seriousness of the message with the need to just make the song catchy? Because it is catchy, I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you. I'm glad you feel that way about it, and we're hoping that's how, you know, everyone else, you know, as people hear the song, that's how they receive it. So for me, it's a process, right? It's a process of coming up with, you know, a melody that's beautiful and sticky, and then, you know, coming up with a general message, and then allowing that message to be interpreted by the various artists, you know, in their own sort of nuance, in their own musical personality, that sort of thing. So obviously, as the producer and sort of principal writer, I created the main melody, and then created, you know, the lyrics for, you know, the chorus, because obviously that gets repeated over and over and again. It carries, you know, the action call, and then, you know, as the artists come through, we kind of discuss what we want to say, just to make sure that the message is succinct and that there's continuity, and that we're not all sort of saying the same thing. I mean, saying the same thing in terms of the message, but expanding the story, expanding the conversation. So yeah, we're all in the room, just having fun, eating lots of food, you know, and just vibing. And I think out of that experience and out of just that genuineness of, you know, heart and purpose, you know, the song was born. So I think for me, that's always the process. Get a bunch of creative people in the studio and just allow everybody to be themselves, and then lead the process just so that the message is ultimately coherent. I think it always works. I've done a number of projects of this magnitude, and that's always the winning strategy, I think.
And just to add to what Chief Kobe is saying, you know, it's such an you know, it's just like an empowerment moment for me, because having a bunch of creatives in the studio, you know, with different vocal ranges and power, you know, you don't want to talk about the vocal prowess of a Maomi or Timi Dakolo or someone like Mondoe from Chad, or, you know, it's crazy to just come and you know, be in that room in the same time, same space, because, you know, sometimes you work like that. Some people are out, you know, you work remotely, but this case was, you know, we being in the studio.
Yeah, everybody had to come into the studio. Spiral, King Maddie, you know, everybody
crazy.
Had to come into the studio and just bring their vibe. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it feels, you know, natural, and it doesn't feel contrived. And that's the way I know to make music, you know, in a natural, inspired space.
Yeah, and I'd love to commend you as well, you know, for the lines and everything, you know. So if you're working with a maestro, like my boys call him, you know, you don't have to stress for the lines, you know. You just need to bring your own energy and vibes. And for me, I'm more than grateful to UNICEF for this opportunity, and grateful to God for making me an artist.
Well, speaking about being an artist now, and to wrap this up, what would you both say is really the one, because you both have your fan bases, what's the one message you want them to take away from this song about immunization? Knowing what is peculiar to each of you, what do you want them to take away from this?
For me, it's simple. I think the message I want everyone to take away from this is, look, take action. Take action. We need to clear out zero dose. There needs to be no child left unvaccinated, no child left at the risk of suffering a preventable disease. So it's that simple. It's take action. It's listen to the music, it's dance, but most importantly, take action. Take action by telling someone, take action by making sure that, you know, you protect and secure the future of your children, but take action. So yeah, the one message for me is take action.
Take action.
Mine is going to be open your souls, open your hearts, make yourselves available, brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers, to make sure that we protect humanity, we protect the young ones, because it's absurd to be in such a space where you hear that a child is suffering from a disability linked to polio in this day and age. I feel super useful being part of this journey and being part of this campaign. And, you know, to all my people being in the north, the east, or the west, prenez votre responsabilité, parce qu'il est hyper important que tous les enfants soient vaccinés contre la polio et ce sera quelque chose de magique dont, au nom de tous les artistes, be it Mondaway, be it Master Sumi, be it Sekoba Bambino, Wajay, Alini Hu, and everybody else from the engineers, we just want to thank you and we're telling you, take action because no more zero doses now. Let's go.
Is now. Thank you both so much. Cobhams, Asuko, Stanley, Enow. Thank you for joining me on Arise 360 today, and we've definitely gotten the message. Right.